On June 25, 1985, an oil gusher erupted at the Tengiz oil field on the eastern shore of the Caspian Sea as a result of an accident. 2 days later, the oil ignited spontaneously. The gusher burst from a depth of 5,000 meters, and the flames reached a height of 200 meters. The temperature inside the well reached up to 1,500 degrees. The associated gas contained poisonous hydrogen sulfide at dangerous concentrations. An emergency response headquarters was urgently established to deal with the gusher. At night, the fountain's flames, visible from 90 miles away, became an unexpected beacon, confusing the navigation of ships and birds alike. Obeying some unknown instinct, countless wild birds began flying toward the raging forest fire.
It's a very powerful gusher. We need to suppress it. So everyone is just watching and waiting. How many people are waiting for this?
Such gushers had never been suppressed, contained, or eliminated anywhere before. But even so, no two gushers are alike. That's why the headquarters met daily and decisions were made every day. There were mistakes, there were some inaccuracies, but they learned from those mistakes.
There is no well-trodden path there. Everything is unknown, especially at the very beginning. When someone goes in for the first time, like Leon Mikhailovich said, usually the leaders go in first to look around, to enter, to assess the situation. Everything there is unknown. Of course, there is some fear, and only, fools say they have no fear. They don't have a sense of fear. Everyone else does. I don't believe anyone who says they're not afraid that they have no fear. Everyone experiences fear, but when a person has already gotten used to things and understood what they're dealing with and how exactly they need to carry out the operation, then of course the sense of fear disappears.
The first shifts of the well control crews. At the emergency well Tengiz 37, work has begun to clear the wellhead of the remains of the burnt drilling equipment. The air temperature in the wellhead area is 170 degrees. The ground temperature is 240 degrees Celsius. The noise level is 120 decibels. Directly at the wellhead, there is a strong air rarefaction. They worked there, in the fire, strictly according to regulations. The time each shift could spend in the fire zone was no more than 15 minutes. The time allowed for work using compressed air tanks was 4 minutes. Each well control worker entered the fire 10 to 12 times per workday. The duration of each shift was 15 working days, without any days off. Helicopters rotated the shifts. The 60th day passed. Flames. Under no circumstances could it be extinguished. The poisonous hydrogen sulfide was burning up in it. fire could only be put out together with the oil jet by killing the well. But to do that, all the approaches had to be cleared, and everything at the wellhead had to be prepared, so that nothing would interfere in those brief moments when the special equipment had to be put on. The number of teams arriving from all over the country to eliminate the blowout increased to 12. The number of burned-out heat protective suits surpassed the first 1,000. Southern summer was coming to an end. Everything was finally ready. After lengthy discussions, it was decided to seal the blowout using a hydraulic puller. A specially designed structure was to be dragged into place by tractors, and the hydraulics would press it tightly so that the fiery jet would go entirely, without any gaps, into the pipe. Only people could finish tightening everything with bolts. There, in the fire, failure. Burning oil broke through between the puller and the wellhead. The command center decided not to send people in. As a direct consequence of a sudden and unexpected shift in the wind direction, the command center made the strategic decision to temporarily retreat. To be continued. Summer in the Caspian region gave way to autumn. Shifts changed, winds shifted, and it got colder. But at the approaches to the well, where everything had to be prepared from scratch again, it was still 200 degrees above zero. Every day, thousands of tons of the most valuable oil burned up here. The command center planned a second attempt. It was October 29th, 1985, at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon. At that hour, Vladimir Bondarenko died. Two hours earlier, he had come out of the fire for the last time. This moment is dedicated to his memory. You are seeing him for the last time. At that very specific and painful moment, that you could truly say was a deeply critical and defining moment, when it finally became painfully clear to everyone involved that absolutely nothing more could be done to change the outcome, there was even, perhaps not so much a feeling of simple resentment, but a profound and overwhelming sense of burning anger, directed at everyone and everything around you, simply because you found yourself completely unable to save the person you cared for. Well, there he lies, and there's just nothing you can do. He lost his sense of time, and somehow probably rose above the flange and ended up in the area of maximum suction and got caught in the flow. It was his dedication, perhaps, that cost him his life in this case. Fountain workers should be, well, like everyone else, I suppose. Only it's this sense of duty. They need to have it developed more than others. This very word, must. You must go. Someone has to do it. Sometimes you feel a kind of anger. You go out, nothing works out, someone comes up to you, asks something, and you're so fired up, you just didn't get it done, you're angry, you want to go and do it, but you have no strength left, your energy is running out. It's hard after all. So, thinking about glory there is just completely out of the question. There is work there, here even. People outside the industry ask why you are drawn to this job. Well, you probably have a lot of money. No, that's not true. What will he earn there? He risks his life more. There is a quadruple set on the fountain. Yes, but it's not about my salary, that I should receive 4 salaries at once. For every hour I work in that environment, I get paid as if I had worked 4 hours under normal conditions. If I work 20 to 30 hours in a month, it's not hard to calculate. I still haven't received anything extra for the month, even less than 1 bonus, and I get a little extra on top of that. Here's the real reward, money. There has never been any talk about that, never. No one even thinks about it. They only sat down to get rid of it. And frankly speaking, there are people, and they are the majority, who say, we just need to get the job done. Of course, I wanted to go home, leave everything behind, forget it all, just go. To my family. But still, something holds you back. How will you come home? Your wife, Volodya, is working, the kids, 2 sons, and all that. And how will you look them in the eyes? Everyone sitting here can tell you that Volodya Vandrenko was the first. Polina asked the question, what are we going to do next? Will we quit? Will we leave? And we said, I don't know. Well, Leonid Mikhailovich? Sasha said, send us, but until we finish it, this fountain. We are now preparing to depart from this location, gathering all of our belongings and making sure everything is ready as we set out on our journey. It is time for us to leave this place behind and begin moving forward toward our next destination, continuing our travels as planned. It was the 12th fountain watch. 6 months of emergency work. The rains gave way to snow. The temperature of the baked sand around the mouth reached up to 300 degrees. The final 3rd attempt was officially scheduled to take place on New Year's Eve itself of that year. If the stacker assembly is positioned securely and tightly on the wellhead, the valve should automatically shut down the well. After that, dozens of special vehicles will unleash a counterflow of special solution onto the stream of oil to suppress the fountain. Within seconds, the fiery jet had to be released into the bypasses. The scenes at the fountain continued,